Well, that's what one hopes it is, and that's, I'd say, what it is at the moment. We've had the kind of Big Bang opening, if you like, which had an inevitable effect on markets, but the speed of China's reaction and the way it was very much targeted in political terms in the United States at states where Midwest, where midterms may have an effect, or they may hope it has an effect on the administration. That showed that China was very ready for this. So I think we've had here the opening moves, if you like, in the chess game, the moves of the pawns forward, and now both sides are hoping that in the next 2 months, which is the deadline we generally expect, that they will get down and do some talking. That's in the short term. There are, of course, much longer term, much more serious longer term issues here which will have to be addressed over the years to come.
What we've seen is that the rhetoric between the two leaders, President Trump and President Xi, has deteriorated a lot since that first Mar-a-Lago meeting where they proclaimed a great friendship, or at least President Trump did. Do you think there's going to be a willingness on both sides to actually sit at the table, given how much they have to lose politically if they yield or give too many concessions to the other side?
Well, I think we're going to have to get through a lot of, if you like, preliminary discussions between their lieutenants to begin with, Wilbur Ross, who you saw just a moment ago, other administration figures, and there the question is how strong the trade hawks are there. And then on the Chinese side, you've had, after the Communist Party Congress last year and then the National People's Congress in March of this year, you've got a new economic team there with Liu He, who's very much the man in charge of economic policy at the moment, Vice President Wang Qishan, who's had a lot of experience of dealing with the Americans, and I think they will try with US administration officials to work something out before we move to the presidential level.
So a couple of questions for you. Yesterday in President Trump's tweet, he mentioned theft of up to $300 billion worth of intellectual property. I'm just wondering whether or not that number adds up, if you've seen anything on that.
Well, I don't know quite how you quantify this exactly.
Right.
And of course, what do you mean by theft, indeed? Is this just going into joint ventures where you share? Is it actual theft as such? Or is this, does this take into account instances where US companies are working with China and Chinese companies on their new technology schemes, let's say, and where they may say the Chinese have taken on the technology? So you really need a lot more definition in this before I think you can come up with an absolute number.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.